All right, friends, welcome back for part 2, questions 11 through 20. Starting with our polycystic kidney disease. All right, so polycystic is the type, kidney is the location. I decided to start with the term polycystic. There we go. Polycystic, and then you'll find kidney. A little clue here, right? It's telling us this is a Q code. So we know right away that this is a congenital condition. It doesn't have to specify it in the description of the disease. But again, you're going to start learning how to identify where the disease is occurring in the body or the type of condition based off of the first letter in each code. All right, so Q61.3. Now let's take it over to our tabular section. So again, you could just grab your tab and then flip right over to your Q codes. And then you can just start looking for the Q61. Okay, so I'm close. Oh, I'm right there. All right. Q61, the category, is representing cystic kidney disease. I love it when it gives us a little extra information. So it says cysts that develop in failing kidney due to end-stage renal disease. All right, and then there's different types, and then we'll find our Q61.3 polycystic kidney unspecified. Why is it unspecified? Well, they didn't tell us whether it was adults, whether it was multiple, single, or infantile. So we just have to go with the default unspecific code. All right, up next, we've got a congenital heart block. So another clue for us, they're telling us it's congenital. So right away, I already know that I'm looking for a code that would start with a Q once I get in my index. Anatomic site is the heart. Problem is that we got a block. So block is my starting point. Nice. So once you find block, everything starts to run alphabetic, and I'm going to start looking for H for heart. All right. And then take it another step further and get to your congenital type. And then you'll find Q24.6. Back over. Boy, they want you to know those Q codes this week, don't they? All right. So you got your category, Q24, other congenital malformations of the heart, and then our specific type of malformation, heart congenital heart block, Q24.6. All right, up next we've got Bloch-Sulzberger melanoblastosis. All right, so again, we could go with the name of the disease, Bloch-Sulzberger. Also, I wanted to point out, if you're want to know more about a condition and you're not really picking up any clues as to where this would be occurring at on the body, I encourage doing a little Google search, learn more about it, see if there's other names for that condition as well. Let's see here. Ah, Echinacea pigmenti. Okay. So now I have a little clue, just in case I need an alternate descriptor, right, to start with from my index if I don't find what I'm looking for. All right, so now I'm going to head over to my index. Oh, Nice. It was right above block. And then we get a clue that this is a congenital condition. How do we know that? Because it starts with a Q. All right, so now we're going to head back over to those Q codes. You can use the corners of your pages at the top there. It'll list the last code listed on each page will be on the right side. And also the first code listed on each page is listed on the top left-hand column. Just some extra little bonus clues there as you get comfortable navigating through your tabular sections. Q82, all right. Here we go. Oh, I made a little note to myself. Perfect. And then check it out. Here we go. So trust your index. Notice that when you get over here to that same code, Q82.3, it says nothing about Bloch's Sulzberger melanoblastosis. It has it listed by its the alternate medical name for this condition. And then it also gives us a little bit of clues as to what this condition is. It says characterized by hypopigmented cutaneous in adults and early childhood, also known as Bloch's Sulzberger syndrome. All right. Next up, we've got fibular hemimelia. All right, so when I look at this, what kind of clues can I pick up right away? Fibular, right? That's one of your long leg bones, your fibula. Hemi is half, so I'm thinking one-sided, some type of one-sided condition affecting my fibula. All right, so starting with the condition of hemimelia, that's where I'm going to start at. Nice. You'll find hemimelia. All right. And so you have your default code, but then we want to get specific. So this is where building on your knowledge of anatomy really helps, right? So we've already identified that that fibula or fibular, right, is going to represent a lower leg bone, right? Or excuse me, a lower extremity, lower limb bone. So we want to go with lower limb. And then it's going to take us on a little journey. We just got to pick up the clues here. So it says go see defect. So that's the main next term we're going to look for. And under that main next term of defect, we're going to start picking up clues. We're going to start with finding the word reduction and then lower limb and then specified type not elsewhere classified. That's the pattern. So now let's go over and go to defect. Go to my D's. There we are. So starting, there's my main term of defect, and then I'm going to start looking for picking up those clues. There's my reduction, limb, lower, and then I don't need to go to specified type, not elsewhere classified, because I do have a classified type of fibula. Q72.6, and then it's telling us you're going to have to give us more, right? We got two legs, so they probably want to know right, left, or if we don't know which one, unspecified. So even though it tells us hemi, and we know it's just going to be half or on one side, they're not telling us what side. All right, so let's just pick up these clues, take it back over to our tabular section here. Another great example of trusting your index, right? So from your index, there was nothing related to longitudinal reduction defect, or based off of what we found in our index and based off of what you're seeing as your descriptive terms on your quiz. So again, in scenarios like this, you have to trust your index that is guiding you to the right category in your tabular section. So a longitudinal reduction defect is in the fibula is a fibular hemimelia. So notice we have the options of bilateral, right, left, or unspecified. So since we don't know whether it was the right or the left, we have to go with the unspecified. This is another one where I'm just going to do a little Google search. Right, always good to know a little bit more about these conditions. So it says this is a limb deficiency where the fibular bone is partially or completely missing. Okay, so reduction defect in the lower leg. All right. All right, up next, we've got Rogers disease. So in this scenario, I'm going to start with that word disease. I'm not going to go to Roger. I'm going to go to disease. Head on over to my D's here. All right, now once I get to disease, everything's alphabetic. So then I'm going to start looking for my R's. There it is. There's my Rogers. And now we know this is a congenital condition. So this one even gives us some clues. Congenital interventricular septal defects. All right, Q21.0. Perfect. So we can see that Rogers disease is also called a ventricular septal defect, Q21.0. And then we can also learn that this is a heart condition, right? Congenital malformation of cardiac septa. All right, up next we have Gillenau's syndrome. Let's see what this is. I don't know much about this condition. Also known as narcolepsy. I'm glad we looked that one up. Again, always good, especially when you have terms that don't really give you any descriptives as to anatomic site or what the problem, the descriptive, condition, the condition of the disease is. Always encourage you guys to look up these terms. All right, so now we know this is narcolepsy. Okay. Now I'm going to go to syndrome, okay? But now that we know it's narcolepsy, we could probably go to the word narcolepsy as well. But just going off of what you know, right, based off of what you've been provided in your quiz, we're going to go to the term syndrome. There we go. So syndrome, and then Gillenau's G47.419. Since I'm back here, I'm just going to take a really quick peek and see what I find under narcolepsy. There we go. You could have also, now that we know the other condition is, or the another alternate name is narcolepsy, same code, G47.419. All right, we're on to something here. G codes, that's going to be your nervous system. So anything that starts with the G is a condition affecting your nervous system. And then G47. Beautiful. Great example. Again, we started with syndrome Gillenau's, and once we took it to the tabular, it doesn't even mention that condition or those terms at all. It just is narcolepsy and cataplexy. Gives you some condition or description of what cataplexy is. Now, since it doesn't mention in our descriptor that it's with, you always just default it to without if those are your only two options. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen, doesn't exist, right? So we have to go with you only have two choices, so go with the not otherwise specified or without cataplexy. All right, up next, we've got supranumerary extra first rib. All right, so I'm going to go with that term supranumerary and just take it from there. Nice. All right, once I get over to supranumerary, then I'm going to start looking for my anatomic site. There it is, rib. First, there's my next clue. So notice how, again, these little fine lines. So we went from our main term of supernumerary down to our anatomic site, and then indented right underneath the rib is our specific condition of first rib, Q76.5. Notice how close and different in codes rib and first rib are, right? It's just one digit difference. All about those little details. All right, so Q76.5. Back over to them Q codes. There we go. Q76.5, cervical rib. Q76. By the way, the category is congenital malformations of spine and bony thorax. And then specifically, the rib is going to put you at Q76.5. All right, up next, we've got kleptomania, just one word there. F codes. F codes are mental health codes. So let me head over to my Ks here. Ks is actually a pretty small section. Okay. There we go. Kleptomania. Just one code listed there, F63.2. Again, if you were to see that F code, or excuse me, a code that starts with the letter F, now you know that this is mental health. Right. So I'm going to head over to my tabs over here, just flip that tab, take myself over to the general area, and then I can start looking for F63. F63, the category is impulse disorders, specifically kleptomania, impulse disorder, pathological stealing, F63.2. All right, last two here. Up next, we've got amyotrophia congenita. All right, so I'm going to start with that word amyotrophia. This would be another good one to look up really quick just to see exactly what this condition is. Let's take a little peek here. They're also, let's see here, congenital atonic pseudoparalysis, especially in infants and characterized by absence of muscular tone only in muscles innervated by the spinal. So something to do with the spinal disorder and muscle tone. All right. There's my amyotropia, and then the specific type of congenita, Q79.8. Nice. And again, once you get over to your tabular, it lists Q79.8 as other congenital malformations of the musculoskeletal system. And then you're going to see this listing of diseases. So basically what they're telling you is everything listed here. The doctor could have called it absence of muscle, or it could have been absence of muscle, tendon, accessory muscle, amyotrophia congenita, congenital constricting bands, congenital shortening of tendon, Poland syndrome. All of those those disease descriptions are categorized under the same code, Q79.8, including our amyotrophia. All right, last one here. We've got cleft nose. So nose is our anatomic site. That isn't going to get us anywhere, right? We're always asking what is occurring, right? What is the condition? The condition is cleft, right? Anatomic site is the nose. So always start with your descriptive term first, and then find anatomic site. There you go. So cleft, and then nose, Q30.2. And again, already gotten a clue here. This is a congenital condition. Back over to them Q codes. If you haven't tabbed your book, highly recommend it. I actually purchased these tabs from Amazon. And it even comes with like a guide to help you stagger your tabs so they don't overlay each other too. Really helpful. All right. There we go. Q30 category is congenital malformations of the nose. Specifically, our malformation is a cleft. So you can see that fissured, notched, and cleft, any of those descriptive terms for the nose is represented by code Q30.2. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. I put out one of these videos each week to cover your coding concepts and to build on your coding skills and get stronger. So just remember, practice makes progress, right? And that's what we're looking for, progress. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.